running on the Orange Pi 5. The Orange Pi 5 is a new board out running the Rock chip, and it's pretty powerful. I am running the Orange Pi version of Debian, and again, this is just some steps to get it up and running. I've had success running Libvirtd on Odroid's M1, and the reason I was thinking of getting this up and running and showing you guys how to do this is the whole fact that the Orange Pi 5 comes in 3 variants, actually 4 variants. Only 3 so far have been out on the market: the 4 gig, the 8 gig, and the 16 gig. Their website says there's a 32 gig, and if that's true, when and if it ever comes out, this is going to make the Orange Pi 5 a very nice little portable virtual lab that you could carry around. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So I've already ran some of this stuff, and I'm going to, it won't be today, but in the weeks, probably within this week, I'll add a web page that shows you how to get it installed. But first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and do sudo app update, and go ahead and do double ampersand signs, which tells you that if the command runs successful, to run the next command. And we're going to run app upgrade, and go ahead and do a -y because all we're doing is we're grabbing updates for the OS. Okay. And it's going to go through real quick and grab all the updates if there are any. There shouldn't be. I just updated this earlier. Okay. And I'm not sure why I got the error, but saying that permissions are open, so hopefully not. Okay. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to run, and I'll put the following commands, like I said, in a web page, but I had to do a little bit of research because this is a little bit different from the Odroid. The Odroid pretty worked running install of virt-manager libvirt-o, and that's O like in the number 0, so libvirt 0, and qm system. But for the Odroid, sorry, the Orange Pi wants different commands, so I'm going to go ahead and paste the following commands into here. And again, I'm going to do a Control-A real quick. Gets me at the beginning of the line, and do a Control-E real quick to go to the back of the line. And oh, there's a mistake here. I forgot the S, so do a quick up arrow and move to where virt client is. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and hit Y to continue. And as you can see, I did try to get this up and working a little bit earlier, and that's when I found out that the different packages are missing. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add myself, okay, to the Libvirtd G group. So to do that is sudo add user, and this is the group Libvirtd QM, and then do a $, and then parentheses, who am I? Okay. And then with that, we are going to go ahead and hit enter. And as you can see, it's added myself to it. Now, we're going to try to see if I can start virt-manager without rebooting. I may have to reboot. Okay, it wants the password for Orange Pi because that's what it's seeing as the default. That's fine. We'll go ahead and we put in Orange Pi. Now, you want it to either use your account or an account with sudo. So as you saw, it saw that Orange Pi is in the sudoers group and can run it. I am in there, but because I haven't rebooted, it hasn't picked up my permission, so we're still good to go. The other thing you want to do real quick is you want to make sure that whatever virtual system that you're going to run is going to be the same. Okay, so one of the things I did earlier was I went to download OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, and the reason I did that is, one, it's a rolling OS, so it's pretty nice. And if you go to their page and you go to the downloads, they actually have an ARM64 version, okay? And that's what you want to run with this. I have successfully gotten Red Hat 9 working, Fedora 35, and Open Tumbleweed on my Odroid. So the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to come over here, we're going to click the icon to create a new virt. Let's go ahead and shut down Chromium. And we're going to do manual. And we're going to try to go ahead and install it without it. I'm not sure why we're getting the UFI. You know what? Let's just go ahead and just to show that this works. And then I will reboot it after we do this and see if the reboot will pick up our UFI. So we're going to go for it, and the operating system we're going to want to install is OpenSUSE Tumbleweed. And I'm going to go ahead and use the default memory, but I'm going to give it 4 cores just to show you this unit has, it's picking up that this does have 8. And I'm going to go ahead and create a disk of 50 gigs. I don't have a lot of space. I am using a Samsung NVMe 256 gigs, and on my Odroid I have a 1 terabyte. I'm using a 2230 form factor on my M.2, so 1 terabyte NVMEs are kind of expensive, and even for the 2242s, it's still, we're talking like about 100 plus, you know, for that. The 256 new was about $40, and when you're on a budget, you know, and you're paying for this stuff out of pocket, you have to use what's there. Maybe down the road I'll get a 1 terabyte, and then I can actually run more verts, but 50 gigs should be enough to get this up and running. So we're going to go ahead and hit forward, and it did not let me select an ISO, so that's a big issue. So we're going to stop this. Okay, and real quick I'm going to reboot and come back and see if the reboot helps us where we can pick up the ISOs and that. Okay, we are back. So let's see if the reboot helped with getting it where it can see the images. So virt-manager is up under system, so we'll go here, click on it. Again, it's still not seeing me, so let's go ahead and put the Orange Pi password in. Helps if you type it right. Alright. And it is storage. Let's try something real quick. I'm going to go ahead and create my image ahead of time, so I'm going to call this TW. And I like using RAW versus QCal, so I'm going to go ahead and create my 50 gigs. And there's my image. So that looks good. And alright. Whoops, didn't want to get out of it. Let's go back up here. virt-manager. Again. Okay. And we're going to click on new, and it is still not picking up the EFI. Alright, this is really becoming a challenge. So we're going to stop here and figure out why it can't find any UFI binaries path for ART64. It might be my Orange Pi install does not have that. I know my Odroid does. I don't want to build this on another virt, but if I can't get it, I may do a mount real quick to my Odroid just to show you guys this is up and running. So with that, we're going to stop and come back. Alright, so there's a couple more packages I needed to add, and just let me do this real quick. And again, I will update a page, web page on my UglyScale press to show this, but the QEMU EFI and the QEMU EFI ARM have to be installed, and once you do that, you need to restart Libvirtd. Well, you don't if you install them together, and I'll have that on my web page. But once you do that, you can come back into virt-manager and click on new. Now it says do you want to install with a with an ISO. So we'll go ahead and hit forward, and because the ISO is not in a directory, I'm going to tell it to browse locally. I'm going to go to my downloads. There it is. Okay, and I would suggest untagging the bottom, because right now it was trying to detect what it was and it couldn't. Alright, that's fine. We'll use generic OS. Let's see. Okay, hit forward. And I want to at least make this have 2 gigs of memory, and again I'm going to use 4 cores. Alright, this time I already created that image file over here. Okay. For some reason, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and call this virt what it is. Okay. And the network selection is, we're going to go ahead and I don't have a bridge device this yet, but I can cheat real quick. Let's come up here and see what our devices are called, and do IP link show, and it is ETH0, so we'll put ETH0 and we'll hit finish. And oh, can't have spaces in there, so I'm going to take the whole OpenSys out and we'll hit finish. Alright, so it's not liking that the ETH0 is not there. So alright, so we're going to go ahead and exit out of this real quick, and we are going to, oh, by the way, I'm using remote desktop because I do a lot of headless servers. Remote desktop, if you install XRDP, works beautiful, and then you don't have to worry about having a ton of monitors and connections. So, alright, we're going to start Network Manager command line, and I am going to go down to, oh, and for these virtualization, don't use wireless. Really try to use the Ethernet connection. You get better results, okay? And that's talking from years of doing this test. So the first thing I'm going to go into is I'm going to go down to activate a connection, and you see wireless is already connected, so I'm going to tell it to go ahead and deconnect it. And we're going to go back, whoops, we're going to go, come back into my window, go back, and we're going to go up to edit connection now, and we're going to tell it to add a connection. And we're going to go down to bridge. We're going to say create, and network bridge is fine. Actually, what I'd like to call this is, let's go back up. I'm a stickler for old style names, so I'm going to call this bridge 0, and we're going to call the connection bridge 0. Okay, and now we're going to go and add our Ethernet. Whoa. Did not pick up on our other device, so that's interesting. Hopefully it will pick it up. Okay, and let's make our window a little bit bigger, and that did not help, so we'll just go ahead and make it small. So we'll do hit our tab key, so we got that now. Make sure spanning tree is on, because a lot of times if it's not on, if you're running multiple virts, the second and third virts that will fire up will not be able to go out or across the bridge device. And if you're doing networking, make sure that like with Cisco Catalyst switches, that spanning tree is enabled, because a lot of times it'll detect multiple MAC addresses coming from the NIC because you're doing the virtualization, and it will shut it off. So keep going down, and then Automac's fine. I'm going to turn off DHCP6, and I can't see it, so I'm going to assume. Here, let's, you know what, let's get let's get out of this for a second. The reason I did that is I want to go full screen. It's network management tool on the command line is a lot easier. I could probably come up to here and use the connection here, but I'm a sysadmin in 26 years, so I prefer using the the command line tool. So let's go back into network management again and hit edit connection, and I'm gonna delete this wire connection real quick because I'm not sure why it's there. I do know the ETH0 is there, and if we go into it, it's got our connectors, and that's what we want. So I'm gonna hit cancel, get out of this, and we're gonna go back up to add, and we're gonna go back down to bridge. There, a lot easier for people to read. So again, up here I'm going to change this to bridge 0, bridge 0. We are going to it's not picking up our ETH0 again, so not sure why it's doing that, but okay, we will add it again. It's probably going to complain that it already exists. No, it let us add it. So again, we're going to come down here and turn off DHCP 6. And the reason I do that is okay. I am not on a full keyboard. I'm using this half-size gaming keyboard that I just bought, and it is really a pain in the butt. Alright, so let's delete this. Go back up. I'm going to delete this one just because I want everything nice and clear. Now we'll come over to do add, and again we'll call this bridge 0. We're going to add our device. Okay, and you can connect Wi-Fi as you see, but again, I don't recommend it. Just use the Ethernet device. So here's our Ethernet device. We're going to go down. And there's our bridge. Okay. So now
I've been carrying him.
Sorry about that. So now let's go ahead and go back to back. And one of the things we're going to want to do real quick is we could do a system restart, but I find out a lot of times it's easier to do an activation the device has already been activated by Network Manager, as you can see. So now I'm going to go down and I'm going to quit out of the device. IP-C for color, link show, and this is to show that the bridge is up, and the ETH0 is going to show that it's up, but there's no IP. Okay, well, we'll see that here in a second. So there's our bridge, there's the ETH0. Now if I do an IP-C a show, as you can see, there's no IP connected to ETH0. It is on our bridge. So this is good. Okay. So now I can go back into virtual management. So again, we'll connect with Orange Pi. Okay, we'll go ahead and hit connect. We're going to go back through, select our ISO from our download folder, and we're going to go ahead and say generic. Okay, technically I could go in and select Tumbleweed. Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to increase the CPUs. And by the way, the reason it wants you to select a version, all that, is they have some like, hey, these are the basic ones that we can start with, and they run. So we'll do that. We'll hit forward. Again, we'll go select our 50 gig image that's up and running. Okay. And we'll click here, and alright. Now we'll see it's picked up our bridge device. This is great. And in a second I will show you that it's actually created a device. So I'm going to go ahead, and I like to give my servers unique names. Earlier I did Tumbleweed, but I'm going to call this Evergreen. Okay. I have a couple other Evergreens running. So now I'm going to hit finish. And it's going to start here in a second. Now, I'm going to power it off real quick. If you notice, nothing is graphical, and that's fine. We have to do a couple things to make it come up and be the nice graphics that we want. You could run this into text mode, but what's the fun in that? So, now, alright, one of the things we got to do is we got to go in and click on open the virt, and down here where it says video, and I don't see video, I could be blind. Okay, I don't see video here, so I'm going to go ahead and hit add hardware, and I'm going to click here, and oh yeah, there we go. I want to select VGA. Okay. Now, because we're selecting VGA, we're going to have to add a couple other components. So let's go back and add hardware, and this time we are going to select USB. We're going to select input, and I find the USB tablet works pretty good, but we'll try this this one up here. Okay, And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tell it to install a USB keyboard. And we're going to install a USB mouse. Okay. All right. The other thing that we want to do now is we're going to want to add a select graphics. And here we'll go into the graphics. And you can use VNC and Spice. I am going to just go ahead and select Spice server. Normally I use VNC when I have to use it, but with XRDP I can connect to this virt, later on. So we'll go ahead and select Spice. Okay. And that's it. Now the one thing we're going to have to do, because we killed it, is we're going to have to turn back on our CD-ROM, because without it, it's thinking that we did the install even though we didn't. So let's click back over here. Oh yes, let's apply that. Let's go back in, make sure everything's applied, and everything is. Okay, now we're going to hit on. Okay, the Spice client is missing, so let's go ahead and force off. Okay, let's go in real quick, see if we'll change that from Spice to VG server. Okay, come back over here. And it'll take a second for it to initialize, so give it a second. It's kind of slow, but you can click over here and you can see that it is supposedly up and running. I don't remember it being this slow last time, so. Okay. I'm going to click out of this for a second. Still getting the warning. Alright, we're going to stop this to save time and figure out why the graphics isn't coming up. So we'll be right back. Alright, hopefully this will be the last time I stop and start the video, but the reason it didn't pick up was when I forced it to stop, it disabled the well, it didn't disable it, unmounted the ISO, so it had no way of knowing how to boot up. So here we are, we're in running VNC. As you can see, we actually have graphics, and here in a couple minutes we should have X started with our graphical installer. And I'm not going to go through the whole process. I just want to get this up and running just to show you guys that it is possible to run a virt. Well, actually, you know what? We'll go through this. To run a virt on an ARM system like you would an x86 system. A couple notes while we're building this out. I've not tried running an 866 an x86 64-bit or x86 64, or I'm repeating myself, I have not tried to run another architect or arch type on top of ARM like you can with an x86 system. Okay, I've only been able to run ARM on ARM, so as you guys can see. Not sure, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and just use a base install. Get our list of packages. But yeah, it might be possible. I might look at that later. But right now I would recommend, as I stated earlier, that you run the same architects of I know Fedora has an ARM disk out there, Red Hat has one, God knows Debian does too, so does Ubuntu. So there are lots of different other OSs you can run on top of this. Now you're probably going to be asking, why would you want to run virtualization when you can run containers? Well, there are times that you still want to run virtualization. You know, containerization is, you know, essentially it's using the same kernel and stuff of the OS that you're using. This is actually a virtual machine running in its own OS with its own kernel and stuff like that. So I'm going to install something lightweight, and having a little issue with sometimes VNC has this little latency like you see it, so you can use keystrokes, and now it's going to go through and do the setup. But getting back to it, you can, you know, find the an ISO out there that you can use it. Alpine Linux actually has a virt that's already built, and you can launch it, and that's great if you don't want to run text like I was running. You want to run a super lean container, or not container, sorry, virt, then that would be the way to go, and that's not what I wanted to do. So let's go back. Hopefully it'll pick up that I am in New York. Create your user. Go ahead and make it an admin, and I'm just going to use the base installs just to show you that this is working, and that you can have a nice little lab. Okay, over here I just want to go back to our console, and just to show you how much I'm using on this system, we'll run htop, and as you can see, the CPUs are being hit, and that's because of the virtualization. Let's press F5, get some separate, get our parent and our children. So there's my, as you can see here, there's the evergreen, and we told it to use 2 gigs, but the overall system is using 4. That's not really hurting us. Well, no, that's virtual memory too. So we're only using right now 3.2 or 3.3 gigs out of the 16, and the 8 cores are handling this very well. The frequency is jumping back and forth, so this is pretty good. And with HTOP, if you never use it, pressing F5 again sets up parent and children, so I can actually go down here and hit the minus sign, and I can go through and see what the different things are running. So there's QM system running my my system. Okay. There's the virt-manager. Okay, there's virt-logd. Okay. And then here's the other functions that are running on the system. And again, it's doing pretty nicely with this, so we'll go ahead and minimize this just to see how our install is going. And because I told it to use packages from the internet, this is going to be an up-to-date install. So the other thing I want to show you real quick is I'm going to do IP link show, and you notice this new NIC down here that we didn't have before. That is our virtual NIC that's running in the system. Okay, and we're not going to be able to get an IP for it. Okay, because it's in the machine, but we do get a MAC address for it. Anytime you see this right here where it says 5400, that is always going to be Libvirtd and its links. It's interesting. This actually has an FE in front of it, but usually the 54 is what I'm used to seeing. And then it does tell you that it is a part of that particular NIC. Now, if you never worked with virtualization, if you plug in, let's say, a USB Ethernet adapter, because you want to have 2 NICs, you could actually set that second NIC up and to be another bridge. So you would have bridge 1, bridge 0, bridge 1, and you could have them go out and get different IPs. The other thing we could do, and I'll show you real quick while this is running, because we didn't enable this. If I go into, click on QEM, okay, right mouse click and go to details, all right, you can actually have a virtual network running. So I can click that and it will use this IP range here. Okay, and you can go in there and you can change that, but in order to change it, you have to go edit some files. But go ahead and click that, hit apply, okay, and it's there. And actually, I take that back. You can actually click on the XML and I can change it. So if I wanted to say, have it run on okay, I have to enable the preference because it says I need to know what I'm doing. But if I come into here and I click on enable, I can go through and change the range that I want it to. And there's what I was telling you. So that FE, it looks like, is for I want to say IPv6 because the local host tends to use that. But anyway, 525400, these are always going to be virtual NICs. So if you're ever wondering where a virtual your virt is, you can do nmap grep for that MAC address and it'll come up. Okay. The other thing that we could do is I could set up a new storage pool, and I'm going to call the pool ISIS. Okay. And I'm going to change it for right now to here. Okay. And I'm going to hit finish. And it's complaining, but let's hit cancel. I could actually, let's just set it like we normally would do. We would call it ISO. Okay. And then up underneath here under Libvirtd, we could create a directory called, well, it's not going to set it up. But if we had a directory called ISO, we could set it, and we can put our virts up, our ISOs up underneath here, and we can search for them later. And I don't think that directory's there, but let's just go take a quick look. Var-lib is where a lot of applications will put their software. So if you're running Dockers, okay, the Docker container stuff will be up underneath here, but we want to go look at Libvirtd real quick. I may not get in because I'm not root, so let's try it. Oh, I can. Oh, and it automatically created our ISO, so if going forward I can put the ISOs there and always keep it there. Okay, but again, my system, this is a small NVMe of 256. Okay, so as you can see, I've already used quite a bit of the disk space, but that's fine and all that. Okay, and then again, these are great to have these, and then the default system is where all the images are created and run from. And this is good because if you, let's say you want to rebuild your Orange Pi image, but you don't want to lose your virts, you can go to that directories. These essentially, well, here I'll show you real quick. If we go into the image folder, you will see that these are essentially image files, and that's nice because you can actually move these files off of your image and then rebuild your disk. So let's say I do get a 1 terabyte NVMe, and sorry guys, I'm dyslexic, so sometimes that's why I go slow, because I don't want to say it incorrectly. So a 1 terabyte NVMe, I could copy these off, install the OS, a fresh OS onto the 1 terabyte, and then I could copy them back on. And the other thing that we can do, okay, is, I believe it's under QM. All right, there's normally a place that you can get the XMLs, but if you know enough about Libvirt shell, okay, you can actually do, whoops, a XML dump. Okay, so you can actually go through and I'm not going to waste your time, but you can do an XML dump, and then you can keep that file as well. Oh yeah, here. Well, that's the volume dump. Okay, and that'll do it. Now, let me show you something that's really cool. Okay, here, I want to clear this screen so you can see this. We're using virt-manager, but if, let's say, I SSH into this system, I can do virt shell list. It's going to show that my virt's running. But let's say that I come into the system and I don't see my virts running. If I add a -- all, it will show all the virts running, and then I can do a virt shell start and then the host name, and it'll start it, and then you can do stop the same way. Okay, so this is a great way that you can use this to up and running. Now, if the daemon that is running in the background is libvirtd, okay, and you can get a status on it by doing that. And as you can see, it's right now complaining about the fact that, you know, we did not have our Ethernet 0 set up as a bridge, but we do now, and that could not use that download domain to set it up. Okay, let's go check on our install. It's probably taking a while because we are downloading stuff from the internet. So it says there's one more package remaining, so hopefully here in a second it'll get it. If you find these videos useful, please like and subscribe, and please leave me comments. Again, I've been doing small board computers now for 26 years. If you look on Facebook, yes, I know a lot of people don't like Facebook, but if you are on Facebook, I do have a group called the Small Board Computers Modder, and it's for people who mod a lot of small boards. I post constantly news and articles about many boards that are coming out. Again, UglyScale Press, where I'm going to be teaching Linux. In fact, I'm going to be teaching the whole course using a Linux board. Okay, and I have, again, over 26 years as a Linux sysadmin and doing small boards, computers now, going on 9 years. It's hard to believe. I know the Pi last year celebrated 10 years. I got in around the first Pi B, and tried to set it up as a media player. Couldn't use it to do much, and then the Pi 2 came out. Actually ran Kali on one for quite a number of years. It was very impressive. I have a ton of Pi 3s, was doing a lot of retro stuff. I have a lot of retro hand units I can show you. Alright, so it's done. And it's going to go ahead and reboot. And let's get it up here. And I'm probably going to switch out the tablet here in a couple minutes. I think it's the version of the tablet I'm using, so we'll give it a second to restart. It's doing something. If it doesn't come up here in a minute, I'm gonna do a forced reboot for this video. Normally I don't like doing that, but I want to save time. And here we go. You know what? It did a reboot, so hold on. Let's do a force off real quick. Let's go and remove this. The reason being is yes, go ahead and apply it. I'm going to go ahead and disable that. It was still trying to force it to boot up. Hit apply. There we go. And now if we come back over here and we hit start, hopefully in a couple seconds we will have our virt up and running. So we do have some nice little flashy lights over there. There we go. Our CPU is kicked up because it's using the monitor, and there we go, folks. There is our virtual server. It's up and running. We are connected to the internet. And real quick, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get this to shut down correctly. Come on. Alright, so let's go ahead and shut her down. And let's go change out that tablet real quick. And I apologize, I know this video is running a little long, but I do want to show you guys all this stuff. So we're going to go through here, remove this, and we're going to go back into add hardware and input, and we're going to select the other tablet and see if that gives us a better response. Hit finish, and we'll go back over here, hit start, and wait for it to come up. Again, if you find these videos useful, please hit subscribe and like. I'll have more of these videos coming out. And again, one of the reasons I wanted to show you this was the fact that you can run virtualization on these new powerful boards. There we go, folks. So that in my notes, I will update it later to show how to use the correct board, correct tablet. We're getting very nice response. This is to show that we are getting out. Bring this up. It's bringing up the OpenSUSE search. Okay. And a little bit of self-promoting never hurts anybody. There we go. Alright, thank you. That's my video for how to get Libvirtd for running up and on the Orange Pi 5. Very little powerful board. If you are going to run virtualization, I would highly recommend an 8 or the 16 gig. And if the 32 gig ever shows up, think about it. That is going to be an absolute powerhouse for running virtualization. Thank you, and as always, peace until the next video.